this is the beginning of our season. This is the beginning of the preparation for our season. And there's two important events. This is one of them. And the next one, which you'll hear us talking about over and over and over again, is our field clinic in February. So this is where you get all of the information that's going to support you with recruitment and training of our umpires in preparation for the upcoming season. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? Okay, so we'll do introductions. We'll start with staff. So John, why don't you introduce yourself? We'll start in the back row.
I'm John Ferretta. I am formerly of North Park Little League. I've been here involved in Little League since 2002, so on my 23rd season going on, and on district staff for, well, longer than I can remember. Anyway, thanks for all of you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Robin Ayer. Been on the district staff umpiring for several years. Been umpiring for about 24 years, and I love to umpire. Love to do with y'all.
I'm Oliver Wardnar. I'm also on the district staff. I used to be on district staff. Been on the umpire staff forever.
Forever.
Started in '89. Every year since. Older than Clay. I remember you.
I still remember that calling, man.
So, and again, my name is Dave Graham. I started with Allied Gardens Little League. I was on the board of directors there, and I was a UIC there for 1 year. I've been on district staff for 10 years. Oh, yeah, I just got a 10-year pin. So now I can remember how long I've been on district staff. I've been on umpire staff now for 2 years. Oliver?
I used to be on Kearney Mesa, but they folded last year. So now, I guess I'm in Sarah Mesa. They took over the whole county.
So did you just get adopted, or are you looking for... Okay. So we shouldn't tell the leagues that...
Really, no.
No, I mean, maybe there's a league here that wants to try and poach you. Is that... Are you fair game, or are you off the market?
It's Sarah Mesa.
Okay.
I'll umpire wherever I'm needed.
All right, and so John is going to lead our presentation today.
Yes, no.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page here, because the look on your face says. Why don't we go around before we start a presentation and have everyone introduce themselves, tell us how long you've been umpiring for. Some of you are representing a league that may not have volunteer umpires, and you're here as in a role of interfacing with the association. So let us know if you're using an association, if you're using the association for all of your games, for some of your games, if you're interested in starting or restarting a volunteer program. And yeah, we'll just start right here in the front row.
Yeah, I'm Dave Dial, Tierra Santa, and second year as UIC. We are an association pretty much exclusively, so would like to get volunteer program going. We just get them as they come in, so I'm sure you guys all know it's tricky to get volunteers, but yeah.
It's called a chain. Time for a chain.
If you're open for recruiting, maybe we'll talk later. So, thanks.
I'm Mark Ben Ruby with Sarah Mesa Little League. Just started at the UIC position, working with Oliver. We currently are just contracting out umpires for our league games right now. So I'm kind of getting brand new to the process here. So
when I was saying that Oliver might be up for grabs, you were probably thinking, shut up. He's ours.
It was news to me.
Okay.
So, as far as I know, we're kind of cohorts together, but that's the scenario right now.
Okay. How long have you been umpiring for?
I haven't.
Okay. Are you administrative only UIC, or do you plan on umpiring?
It was more administrative. I'm assisting with coaching my son's team.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Hi guys, my name's Nick. I'm from Allied Gardens Little League. I'm succeeding Robin Ayer. who was our UIC before. We are volunteer only. So Robin Air and some other volunteers were our main go-tos along with the youth program. I have limited umpiring experience, so minors games mostly, looking to do more of it to get better, but also have the coaching managing side as well. So I've kind of been on both ends, but stepping into the UIC role, looking to do more recruiting, development, and also hear what you guys are doing that's working. So appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start up here.
Good evening, David Knoll with La Mesa National Little League. I am the UIC, and I have 2 years of umpiring experience under my belt with ball, and street ball. And we are volunteer-based only.
My name is Danny Prouse, Mission Trails. I've been doing the position for 2 years. We had contracted umpires, but it kind of fell through, so we're back to volunteers.
Good. I'm glad it fell through. I mean, welcome back.
I'm Greg Ransweiler. I'm the field guy for Lake Murray, but there's no field breakout, so I'm here. I went to the clinic last February, and I've been up in for 1 year.
Okay.
Frank Nelson, UIC and Patriots, managing a team, and I've been coaching up in 3 years now. So all volunteer based, so it's been fun. You guys know the struggle's real. So
I'm John Nathanson. I'm starting my 22nd year at North Park Little League, just a year behind John, I guess, as far as that late. I've been umpiring, starting my 19th year of umpiring. John taught me everything about umpiring, so I'm very proud of that. And I am the UIC there. We are fully volunteer, and we had a kick-ass year last year, I can tell you. I've got a program that I would love to share with other leagues if I can, because I think it's something that basically I've taken the district, your February thing, and broken it down into 3 separate trainings, and it's really working well. So
Yeah, and on that note, John, one of the benefits of this group is that we all work together. If you're looking to myself or Mr. Peretta, Robin or Oliver for all the answers, we don't have them. The experience in this room, the collective experience in this room is beyond this meeting, you staying in contact and supporting each other is really where it's at. So a lot of leagues will have their own clinics that cater to, maybe youth umpires or maybe this kind of function that you want to focus on, and I think that's wonderful. And so anything that we can do to support you in that would be great. But we'll absolutely have some time for you to share.
yeah. One of the things I just wanted to point out is we had last year 8 father and son combinations out on the field last year. So that was my
That's awesome.
pride and joy.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
My name is Vern Seifert. I'm with Lake Murray Little League. We're a strictly volunteer-based organization as far as umpires go. First year Umpire-in-Chief, going into my 4th year umpiring.
Awesome.
All right, I'm Donnie Hurry, Rolando Little League. First year as UIC. Last year, I jumped in to help our UIC start our volunteer program with our Rolando. We were able to cover most of our games, probably half of the major games we could not cover volunteer base. I had to bring some ups in, but I have a good core moving, so I got kind of volunteered to do UIC this year since I kind of jumped in.
Voluntold?
Voluntold pretty much. It'll be my last year at Rolando. I've been at Rolando 8 years now with my kid, so since he started, so we're on our way to the Patriot League next year.
Frank, you make sure you get his contact info.
Yeah, so we'll be going, and I mean, I've umpired, I've refereed, I've done sports my whole life, so I went through wrestling, football, everything. Umpiring's been what I wanted to do for a while. So this will be my 3rd year at Rolando doing the umpiring as a volunteer. I just started doing games, and then last year I took over doing a lot of the TOC and All-Star games for District 33. I was helping out volunteer.
Very cool.
So, yeah, so look forward to trying to grow.
Now, it sounded like you were trying to grow or restart your volunteer program.
Yeah, so we were all purchased. So last year they were asking, and so me and another guy were like, hey, why don't we get a bunch of guys volunteer? So we got with a bunch of the coaches I've known over the years that I've met, and like, hey, you want to umpire? So everybody so we ended up getting, so I got a good little core that we can cover all our minors games pretty much, and then The majors is always issue because most of us are coaches. We're all coaches and managers. So the conflict of interest was the problem last year. It's like, well, you can't umpire our games. You play against us. We don't want, so we were trying not to have that situation where it's like, well, he umpired a game we lost because he wants us to lose so he can go ahead of us. And it's like, oh, God. So I was like, yeah. So
I mean, there's a lot of money on the line in these championships.
Yeah, no doubt.
So prior to that, were you using association umpires for all of your games?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you know who to reach out to get some ideas. So you went from how many umpires to how many umpires? Volunteers.
So volunteers, when we first started the season, I had 4 that volunteered. By the end of the season, I had eight adults that are coaches, 4 teens, and this year I already have 3 kids that left us to the Patriot League that are coming back to help this year.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. Hey, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for being a yes, even if you didn't want to be, even if you're a voluntold. We appreciate you stepping up and taking on this role. We know that there is a nationwide shortage of game officials. It's not just baseball. And it's difficult out there. We're under the spotlight. Every interaction that we have has the potential for conflict, and sometimes it's just not pleasant. Sometimes there's spectators, sometimes there's players, sometimes there are coaches that are a little hard on us. And so thank you for stepping up and leading and taking charge of this for your league. So I really appreciate you. John, you want to come on up and go through the agenda?
All right, well, thanks, Dave. Before we get started, anybody want to have a discussion about the election?
No.
Too soon? That was my best. That was my best Bill Owens there.
You to break the ice.
Anyway, again, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys taking your time out. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the role of the district staff, what we do, explain what we do during the season and the training opportunities, and then we'll get into talking about what are some of the things you guys are going to face, especially first-year umpires. What are some of the responsibilities? What can you do? And this is a good opportunity to lean on everybody, like Dave said. Because sometimes some things work for one league and other things that work for other leagues. So there's no one-size-fits-all policy or program. So it's a good opportunity to lean on some of the more experienced guys, some of the guys. If you want to start a volunteer program, there's a lot of resources here that you guys can tap into. So the role of the district staff. So a lot of people don't realize that there is a district umpire staff that's comprised of 8 members, I believe. There's 8 of us on staff. This is the last count.
Technically it's 10.
Technically it's 10, but there's about 8 active. Some are still UICs, others just kind of float around like myself and Dave. We're not really tied to one league, so we just kind of float around and do games wherever we want to. So, but our biggest thing is training, okay? We're responsible for providing training to the district. Unfortunately, we are not an association. We cannot provide umpires to your leagues to cover your games. That's not our role. We just don't have the manpower. It's not our mission to do that. We can certainly cover some games. You can ask us, lean on us sometimes. But the best thing to do is to develop a network among the other UICs, because you can borrow umpires at times because people like to go to other leagues. And some of you interleague together too, so you can use other umpires as well too. So you can always ask us, but a lot of us are working games. Certainly, we will come out and work, games at your league if we can. But, you guys know that have been doing it for a little while. Everyone's stretched a little bit thin. So, but that's primarily our role, is to provide training. So what kind of training do we provide? We do a rules clinic, which is typically Zoom over 2 nights. So that'll be coming up January, February, something like that, I believe. So we do that. This is a good opportunity. If you don't know the rules, we don't go through the entire rule book, but we go through quite a few. So then it's a refresher course for those of you that have been in the league for a while. Our biggest thing, as Dave had said earlier, is our field mechanics clinic. So
this is the one thing that I really want to stress upon you guys. Get your umpires volunteer, no matter how long they've been doing it, first timers to 30-year veterans. Get them to come to our field mechanics clinic, okay? So especially for the first timers or the novice ones, it'll give them some training, it'll give them some confidence to come and work the field. So that's what I'm going to impress upon you. And to be honest with you, the past few years, we just haven't had that many people come to the field clinic. We have enough instructors to provide a good ratio of instructor to student, but if you guys aren't sending anybody, we can't train them. And I'm telling you, just the 4 hours, the half-day clinic, 4 or 5 hours, just that 4 or 5 hours with us, it will really help your leagues out. Okay, it really gets the confident and they'll want to get out on the field. Okay, and then for the experienced umpires too, it's a good way to kind of bang off the rust from the off season. So that's our biggest thing. We'll send that out. It'll be posted on the website. You'll get emails. Make sure Dave has your updated email list because we send out information periodically via email throughout the season. We will also do, if you want, we've done many times in the past, if you ask us to put on a mini clinic with your league, we will do that as well too. So it can be, all we ask is to get just a few guys. It can be 5 people, doesn't matter. Provide us with a field and some field time, and we will come out. You can even combine with the league too if you want to. If you have a neighboring league or someone you interleague with, and you want to do a little mini clinic sometimes, any day, Sundays, whatever, we'll put it together. We'll come out and we'll work on what you guys want to work on. You tell us, hey, my guys need to work on, I have some inexperienced umpires, they want to work the bases, so we'll just work on base work. Or if you want to do some plate work or whatever, we're happy to do that as well too. So you just have to reach out to Dave and let him know, or one of us. All our contact info is on the district website.
All ages, okay? Doesn't matter if juniors.
Yeah, juniors, whatever. They want to umpire.
At the moment, hey, can I just jump in here real quick? We've been talking with District 32 about doing a combined clinic, and if we do, we might split up and do a youth clinic separate from adults.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. I don't have anything to announce just yet, but for now, the field clinic is all ages.
And so that's our main thing, is mostly provide training. We also provide rule interpretations and rule support during the season. So if you ever have something that comes up in your game, it happens every season, you can reach out to us. We'll provide the whatever rule interpretation. We'll provide the citing on the rule book. So just to email me, I'm pretty good about that. So if you want to ask about that, but any of the staff guys can help you out. But that's another service that we provide as well too. We also schedule the TOC umpires, so your leagues will provide us umpires. If your league goes to TOC, you'll provide us with some umpires. It's a little tricky with the guys who are going to use association guys, but we work around it. So you'll pretty much provide us the umpires, and we're kind of the schedulers, kind of the liaison to scheduling them for the TOC games. We also schedule the All-Star umpires. All-Star umpires is kind of similar, but as we get deeper in the tournament, we tend to take what we deem as the most qualified ones and put them on, as the games kind of shorten and there's fewer games and become more competitive. So we do handle that. But pretty much early on in the tournament in All-Stars, your league will get assigned a game, and so it'll be your responsibility to staff that.
Where do you get the feedback from for using certain umpires as you go?
So usually what we do is at our field clinic, that's one thing that we do, and also it's just working with guys, and then we take recommendations from the UICs as well too. But that's why we try to go out to different leagues and see. But there's other opportunities, like a lot of the in-season tournaments, which I'll talk about that now. We help facilitate the umpires for the in-season tournament, like DuPont and the CBI, and then the Juniors Invitational. So we also get a chance to look at umpires there too. So pretty much it's an evaluation by the staff guys, and sometimes it'll be upon recommendation of the UICs. Yes?
So I can follow on that. So last year, I actually got called by a few to do other leagues in the district for the All-Stars and stuff, because I was actually volunteering throughout the year with other leagues. So like they were saying, but I know people in other leagues, and they're like, hey, can you umpire a game this weekend? And I would just go help them umpire. And then other umpires actually spoke up, and then I got called for TOC and All-Star games.
Yeah,
through our president and
Yeah,
stuff too. So it's
exactly.
just getting yourself out there and just being present, they just they get
Right.
to know who you are.
and that's why we try to get out to the leagues and work with guys occasionally and just see. You can also request us to come and work. That's another good way. That's a really good way for us to come out and work. If you say that I have an umpire I'd like you to work with, that's an incentive for us to really get out there and work with them. And whether they want to be on the bases or on the plate or vice versa, whatever you want. So, but that's what we try to do with evaluations. We try to do that. We tend to get that more in the in-season tournaments, and there's a lot more now. We have the Battle of the Lakes and the Cactus tournaments, stuff like that. So we do get a chance to see a lot of the umpires. So, and I'm going to be perfectly frank, when we have a lot of games, it becomes a lot more availability versus ability. And as the games get more important and shorter down, then it's more experience and ability. So that's kind of how we do it. But great question, thank you. So, and then we'll also help with All-Star Saturday. If some of you have been involved, anybody been here to All-Star Saturday, it's a good time. So we're out there helping as well too. And like I said about the in-season tournaments, we try to help. With the in-season tournaments, you guys are a lot of times responsible for staffing those, sort of signing those games, because we just can't. There's just too many for us to do all of it. Yes, Oliver.
The more games you do, the more your confidence builds, and the more you see things and you know, I've done this before.
So yeah, so any questions on that? This is pretty much, we're here to provide support and training to you guys, but unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to staff games. Yes?
The field clinic was mentioned in February. Is there a firm date or is that still TBD?
It's to be determined.
Yeah.
It's on the calendar February 23rd, but we do need to firm it up.
Yeah, because we have to get a field and put together the instructions and stuff like that, so.
Well, like end of February versus early February. I guess I was just looking for like a...
Yeah, kind of around there. We'll get that out as soon as we can, as soon as we can firm that up. But this
You can do it at Lake Murray.
What's that?
You can do it at Lake Murray.
You do it at Lake Murray?
Yeah.
You can do
Absolutely.
the clinic at our.
Dave?
We have a lot of our equipment for the training already at San Carlos. So if we can do it there, we'll probably stay there because our stuff is there and they've got restrooms.
Yeah.
So do we.
They have restrooms too.
All right.
Yeah.
We won't make you piss in the bushes.
Hey,
But yeah, so a number of leagues have come forward, and that's awesome. And we may take you up on that.
yeah, we'll definitely keep that in the, we'll bookmark that, so appreciate that, thank you. So any other questions on that? That's what we kind of do, that's what we're here for. So the other thing that we do is we kind of plan some in-season things. We try to do, we're talking about trying to do UIC and monthly umpire meetings. Those haven't come to fruition. We try to do it at the Elks Lodge in San Carlos there. So that's kind of been hit or miss. Another thing that we try to do is for umpire training. So we try to do that in some of the in-season tournaments to get you guys exposed to four umpire mechanics, because we try to do that for some of the, the semifinals and final games of All-Stars and TOC, and even the in-season tournaments as well too. So we do try to provide that for you guys as well. And then another thing we started doing, and I don't know if John was planning on doing it this year, we did it the last 2 years, is we come to one of your board meetings and just talk about, let you guys know who we are, what we can do, and get a little feedback from your guys' boards as well too. So we try to maintain a little bit higher profile and get to know who you guys are. And if you do have Little League, your local league umpires, volunteers, we'd like to know who they are. So we really, really, again, I can't stress this enough. If you have guys, the best thing you do is send them to the mechanics clinic. That way we need to get back to a network. Because I remember back in the day when I started, we used to routinely have 50 to 60 umpires come to our clinics. And it was great. And we would have, we'd have more than enough umpires to staff TOC and All-Stars. People would be waiting by the phone to get the call from the UIC at the time. So now we don't have that luxury anymore. The pandemic had a lot to do with it, but as Dave alluded to, there is a nationwide shortage of sports officials and we're all feeling it. So anyway. So let's talk about you guys, the responsibilities of the UICs. So how many of you here are first-time UICs? Beautiful. Okay. So what's going to be, not you, Oliver. So what's going to be the challenges that you guys are facing as first year on UIC? So now you're a first year UIC. Well, now what? Now what do I do? Okay. So some of you are just going to be schedulers. Okay. That's the way it is. You're going to contract with an association. That's fine. We get it. We don't like it, but we get it. You know, that's the way it is. It's just kind of goes contrary to Little League's mission statement. Although I can tell you, Little League's kind of relaxing on that now a little bit. They get it too, so they kind of look the other way a little bit on that. But we get it. I mean, I had to do it when I was president of North Park Little League too. You know, we had to do it occasionally when we started the juniors program. And we picked up the juniors program in 2007, and that was new to us because it was Pony League, and they had disbanded. Well, I had a whole other division and no umpires, so we did. But eventually we worked away, and it's been pretty much all volunteer. You can do it. It does take a lot of effort. Yes, Oliver.
I want to see a show of hands. A lot of umpires don't like to umpire because they get a lot of yelling and screaming from the fans. You suck and you do this and a bad call. Show of hands. Most everybody's had that. Oh, yeah.
Nobody's ever said that.
I just think
No, they all tell me what a great game I'm having. Always. I get that all the time. Wow, thank you.
Police them.
Yeah, that's where the board has to step.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So pretty much the first thing you guys have to do, even as seasoned UICs, is start your recruitment process. Okay. So where are you going to get umpires at? What do you guys do? Again, some leagues do some things. Some leagues do. They make the umpires, or excuse me, the coaches umpire. They'll do that. Oh, sorry.
I keep looking at it. He keeps going that way. I think he wants to be off camera.
No, I didn't realize that. Oh, there's a camera on me? I didn't realize that. So, no, it's just blocking the view. So I'm kind of, why isn't it back there, Dave? That's where it should be. Anyway, so it's recruitment. So what are you guys gonna do? So Frank, what do you do? John, what do you do? What do you guys do for you've been around for a little while. What do you guys do for recruitment?
So if we can get them to come to your clinic, that's step one. The next one is if those that show up there trying to get them to come to our individualized clinic, if they show up there, it's maybe 5 show up to your clinic, maybe 2 or 3 show up to ours. So just getting people out there. We got 2 or 3 that constantly show up out there outside from you district guys, but it's hard, it's tough, and then even more so Patriots because it's 2 seasons and they're gone.
Yeah, because 13, 14-year-old kids will age out, and that's a challenge you'll face in any league. Is the kids age out and then the parents are done. So but where would you go to recruit?
Well,
like you go to document day or sign up?
I had access to our database of all our people that have signed up, so I could send out blast emails and just keep pounding the idea of putting on clinics and just keep the idea of recruitment. And then an assessment day, I had a really good successful training because we had all our coaches there, and I had the training afterwards, so I had a real good profit in January, so I got that going that way. So it's just a matter of just really staying on top of it and just continually blasting people with the idea of I'm offering a clinic here and this and a clinic here and this, and depending on the amount of time you have available, I have a lot of time. I'm retired now, so I put on probably 15, 20 clinics last year. And I did individual clinics too, with just one person at a time. But I realize a lot of people don't have that kind of time, but the more time you can put out there the better chance you're gonna have. So.
Yeah, it takes a lot of diligence. It does take a lot of commitment, a lot of work as well too. So, but assessment day, that's a great time to go. Some of the leagues that still have document day, we got to turn in documents. That's another area where you can approach people, stuff like that. When we first started, everything was all, you had to come in. It was all paper and pencil sign-ups. We didn't have online sign-ups. So that was always a great way to recruit because you've got the parents with the kids and they're all excited to play. And so, some wanted to coach, others wanted to be involved but not coaching, and you could always, twist a few arms there. So, but that doesn't happen anymore. So you've got to find some, other ways to do it. Yeah.
So we as a league do, we establish who our coaches are, managers. We like to put a lot of the ownership on the managers. to find their own umpires. The umpire-in-chief is the head guy and will make sure that'll happen for them.
Yeah.
We give the managers who are knowledgeable about the game some ownership and helping to find their, their home games, the umpires. And we have a network of other coaches and managers who will for our league, it's standings don't mean nothing.
Right, yeah.
So when we'll coach each other's games, and wins and losses are nothing, and everybody goes to TOC and it's a tournament. That's when it counts anyway.
Yeah.
And then you'll tighten it up. But we like to put some ownership on some of the coaches to kind of help. I mean, all these coaches go to the clinics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and learn through you guys or in-house clinics first. But I think that helps having the coaches take some ownership and helping find their own. So we create an Excel sheet for the whole year, so we can see every game that you have the entire year, what home games you have, and I can look and 2 months down the line, I'm open on that day for this coach in minors, majors, whatever it may be, and I can fill that slot for him. And we'll trade games. You do my game, I'll do your game. You do. So a lot of the coaches, me and Frank, for example, 2 years ago, we did everyone. We're both major teams playing against each other. He did 90% of my games, and I vice versa did most of his games.
Yeah.
So for us, having some coaches take some ownership and it really seemed to help.
Yeah.
Good knowledgeable guys who know the game already. And it was not just the managers, they have coaches and their team moms who put it on blast to their parents because they're trying to find their own umpire for their game.
Right.
So that seems to really help us, and we've had a great track record. I don't remember the last time we've had to hire somebody.
Yeah.
We've covered all our games for years, just in-house through coaches, networking, through their team moms, to their parents and other coaches throughout the league, finding he's a coach, I'm a coach, so we'll do each other's games.
Yeah, and that's good. And that's one of a lot of leagues do that as well too. Tierra Santa Little League a number of years ago, my friend Mike Williams was the umpire-in-chief. They had a point system where the teams had to earn a certain amount of points so they could qualify for TOC. And it could be anybody. It didn't have to be the coaches, so the coaches would find people or whatever. And then if a team needed some help and you had maybe a couple extra coaches that wanted to do something, you could send them over there so you could earn. You didn't have to be associated with that team. As long as you covered the game, then that team got the point system, and it worked pretty well for the most part. So there's all sorts of different ways. Sometimes the carrot and the stick approach, and
we have an incentive program. So if you umpire a game, you get $35 towards next season's registration.
Oh, nice.
And if you do a bunch of games, like my son's paid for this year. So we have an incentive program. So parents can, if they do the field, they get $20. To do the field. If they do behind the plate, they get $35.
Wow.
So you do $35 and you do 10 games.
Wow.
You paid for your kids next year.
What do I get if I come to your league?
Numbers private. I'm paying 20 and 10. That's why I get your numbers.
So and for some of the younger kids, they might not want that. They get less cash.
Yeah.
You get more credit or less. You get $20 cash or $35 credit.
Wow.
So that incentive program really, for me, I've had multiple kids the last couple of years. I haven't paid nothing because of so many games I've umpired. So it's a good program.
Yeah, and that goes to one of the things we talk about with the paid umpire. Again, I get it. The paid umpire is very expensive. I mean, when I went a couple of years ago to a lot of the board meetings, I was asking Tierra Santa and I forget. I don't think it was Rolando. It was another one. And I asked them how much they spent, and it was like $12,000. That could be going to the league. And again, some things work better for other leagues. Some leagues, you go to Encino Little League up there in LA. I mean, they're happy to pay, but it's an affluent neighborhood, and they have that. But not what works for one league doesn't work for everybody else. So yes, Oliver.
That's how I started many years ago. My wife signed up my kids and said, "Well, you're a coach. Oh, and you're going to umpire one game a week. And you're going to do this."
That's how it starts.
And then I got the bug.
Here we are.
Here we are. We don't have I don't have kids in the program. I haven't had for many years. My oldest is 27. So
I also created an incentive program last year where, depending on the number of games that an umpire does, there's different levels, and you get equipment building your way up to a full uniform.
Yeah.
So I've got guys that, and that's really drawing a lot of guys there.
So you do, yeah, that's a good point. You do have to incentivize it because, you know, it is a thankless job often at times. But, you know, we're the only ones that are going to be able to solve this problem. It's got to start with us. You know, we can't rely on, you know, people coming in and wanting to umpire games. We can't all rely on associations. Even hiring the associations is tough because they're strapped as well too, you know, for guys to cover their games. And, you know, especially during the regular season, you probably go to county baseball is your
Which association?
San Diego County Baseball Umpire.
SDC, BUA.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the county. They're mostly a high school association, so you know a lot of those guys are doing high school games. So it's tough to cover. You know, they're having trouble covering the high school games, let alone contracting with other organizations. So I applaud you guys for doing what you're doing. But those are some of the challenges that you have, and some of the good solutions that you can do as well too. So I think leaning on the coaches is important, and it also, I'll be honest with you, I think when a coach starts to umpire games, I think they behave a little better when they're coaching their games. You know what I mean? So
perspective.
It does. Yeah, we used to make the coaches umpire the Caps game, and that was kind of our evil genius program of. If they, you know, a lot of them would stay with it and they'd move with their kids and go to minors and majors. And we got a lot of umpires that way, but we also got a lot of better behaved coaches as well too. Because if they didn't do it,
it changes your perspective.
Yeah, they were like, this is really hard, you know. So
I did a lot of recruiting, and I'm going to do more in the Caps division. So even though they're not doing really umpiring there, you get them started doing minors games. Then when they're coming up, now you got them pretty much going through the whole.
yeah, if they have kids and multiple kids, they'll stay with the program a long time. So you can keep them a long time. We started in doing Caps, and I thought this is the most awful thing I've ever done. You know, why am I doing this? This is terrible.
By the way,
yes,
it would be wonderful if your coaches and managers attended the field clinic. They would get a better context for the kinds of work, the work that we do on the field. It will make them better coaches, for sure.
yeah,
They'll see things from our perspective.
yeah.
They'll learn how to approach an umpire on the field, and they might decide that they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
don't just go
self-serving.
for
You
your,
just don't want coaches complaining.
don't just go for the people who have expressed interest in umpiring. Really try to get everyone from your league who is interested or on the field with the kids. They should come to the clinic as well.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, that's a good point. So anyway, those are some of the things about, you know, recruitment, some of the challenges you got to do. You've also got to come up with scheduling, but that's going to come a little bit later, depending on the number of the teams and stuff like that. That's kind of the easy thing to do is figuring out a game schedule. Google spreadsheets or whatever it is, or some of the other ones, you know, where people can go sign up. San Carlos has a nice one. Allied Gardens has a nice one. You know, I think Patriot League does as well too. North Park, they all have them. So it makes it really easy for people to go sign up. So, but the most important thing you can do is, as a UIC, it's that personal connection. You really have to ask people because you'll be surprised. You know, when you send out an email or something like that, it's very easy to ignore an email. But when you get personally asked to do a game, and that's, you know, from experience as well too, when somebody asks me to do a game, if I'm available, I pretty much do it. You know, it's that personal connection, and I think that's what we're lacking as you know, what we had back in the day when you did the sign-ups, you know, had sign-up days and stuff like that. We don't have that anymore, and I think that's really contributed to it. But when you ask someone, hey, I need your help, especially you know a coach, or you know a parent, you know someone, hey, I need some help, and people are almost always willing to help out. So that's part of my 3 R's. So I talk about the 3 R's: recruitment, retention, and recognition. So let's talk about retention. So what are you going to do to keep your umpires? You've got an umpire. What are you going to do to keep your umpires? Okay. So you've got to provide them with training so they feel more confident on the field. That's number 1. But another thing to do is you really have to support them. And you've got to have the support of your board of directors. There's also training opportunities up in San Bernardino. They do weekend clinics. They do a week-long clinic up there. And if you have someone that's interested in going there, your board should absolutely, by all means, pay for it. It's not that expensive, and I can tell you, I've been to a lot of training, and that training up there is pretty darn good. So those are things you can do. But the number one thing you have to have is you got to have unified board support. Okay, you've got to protect your umpires. Referee Magazine did a study a few years ago about the shortage of umpires, and the number one reason why people weren't hanging around was the abuse. That's it. The number one reason. Nobody likes to get yelled at, right? So you've got to have a program in place in your league that there's zero tolerance. You don't take that. You cannot have a parent screaming about that, at the umpires. You just can't have it because they'll walk. I mean, who wants to do it, right? You're a volunteer, just trying to help out. And one of the biggest problems with umpiring, there's a pretty steep learning curve to it. I mean, we can't really trust. We send a lot of umpires during tournament time. We get the privilege of going to other districts, other leagues. We'll go up north to Escondido and Poway and other places like that. Sometimes to 32. So we'll help other leagues out. But we got to have an umpire that probably 3 to 5 years before we can even think about sending them, on an away assignment or something like that. So there is a steep learning curve, and that's a problem. Is because not everyone stays with the program that long. So you might stay with it 3 to 5 years umpiring, and then they're done. Well, you got to start over again. So, and a lot of them drop out. I mean, I think the stat is about, I think most umpires last about 2 years before they're gone. So it's hard to keep them. So if you have that in place, one of the things we did at North Park was we put signs up. But another thing we did is we had a good board of directors presence during all the games, and we wouldn't put up with any of that, all the board of directors, so you've got to be unified on that. So if your board of directors isn't supporting your volunteer program and letting the bad behavior, you're in for an uphill battle.
And I'll also tell you, throw somebody out of a game and that'll change their attitude.
Yeah.
I appreciate the free hamburger you guys give
A
out.
lot of guys.
Well, sure, yeah, exactly. You get hamburger and hamburger, hot dog, or a Coke, yeah.
I'll throw my own son out the game.
That's right. Do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I've railed about this a lot, in the umpiring community, and especially at the youth level and even at the high school level, we don't eject enough, we don't eject enough. And I get it though sometimes because, it's your coach or someone someone in the league. It's kind of a personal thing, but it's tough. So you got to have a little. But it's also there's a couple components to umpiring. One is mechanics and rules. So you have to know, have good mechanics. You have to have rules knowledge and experience as well too. But another thing is game management, and that's really a long time learned thing. How to manage a game, how to manage different personalities. And that's really what separates a good umpire from a really great umpire's game management skills. And some umpires, to be honest with you, they never progress that, because past that point, they can be good balls and strikes, safes out and stuff like that, but they can't manage things on the field, and that's a tough thing as well too. So that's part of it as well. So again, going back, it's a steep learning curve, So the more tools that we can provide you, the more success that you'll have. So what are some of the things you do to retain your umpires, for those of you that have your volunteer leaders do? Feed them?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Water and food.
Yeah.
Incentive programs.
Incentive programs such as?
Well, like I set up is, a progressive thing, and it covers all seasons, so it's not just one season. So they do 5 games, they get a shirt.
Yeah.
10 games, 20, 15, 20, they're getting belt, and all the way up to full gear.
Yeah.
Full plate gear, so
Yeah.
including masks.
And that's another thing that you guys can be doing too, is providing equipment. That's another we call that a barrier to entry into the application. Is the equipment's expensive? If you want good equipment, it can cost you quite a bit. You got $300, $400, $500 is nothing to spend on your plate gear and mask and shoes and stuff like that. So your league should be providing some equipment for your umpires as well too. So that's one thing. And that kind of goes into my third R. So it's recruitment, retention, and recognition. So what are you doing at the end of the year? You know, are you some leagues give you a shirt, like so many, you're working so many games. So other leagues do kind of a banquet for their umpires afterwards. Do other things. Robin, you've been at UIC for a long time at Alley Guns. What do you guys do?
Oh, here, you want an all-star game?
Yeah. So you can reward them with big games. You know what I mean? You can reward them with some good assignments, but you can also do, you know, merchandise, hats, ball bags, whatever. There's all sorts of things you can do.
Last year we tallied who had. Of course, I umpired the most games, but they gave us. So they gave me a $200 gift card to Dick's for that, for having the most games, and then my son got signed up for spring ball for free.
Nice.
So he doesn't have to pay his last season. So we did that, and then other guys that were leaving the league, you know, and stuff, we gave them like gift cards and thank you thing and their little baskets and stuff. To like league and then put a little thing together to thank them for, you know, helping out, and then, you know, so whoever was involved, depending on how many games they had, they got a little something.
You should be.
Most of the guys that volunteered, they did at least 5 games. Their kids and stuff got free enrollment this next year.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And you should, and that goes back to having that unified board as well too. That your board of directors should be on board with that as well too, because you can always say just, you know, the few $100s that you might spend, even a couple grand if you spend, is way less than on, these guys can attest to, it's way less than what you spend on you know, association guys. It's a lot of money, you know, that can be going back to the league and to the kids. So those are 3 things we talk about. There's also great ideas. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do to keep, but remember, you got to curb the abuse. There's no question about that. So just make sure. So I'll just tell a little story. One of my finest hours as president. So we were really, John remembers this. We were really strict on that behavior standards, and so we had no problem telling a parent in the stand to, you know, I'm on camera, so I won't say what I want to say, but shut the heck up, you know. So we had no problem doing that. We even occasionally had to stop games when the coaches were getting out of hand and explain to them, you know, walk on the field many times and explain to them, you know, this is not right, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So one time I was sitting in a stand, it was a majors game or something like that, and there was some parent there I didn't recognize, might have been a friend of the family or something like that, but started yelling at the umpires about something. I don't remember what it was. And I was about to say something when the parent next to her turned to her and said, "We don't talk like that here at North Park Little League." And I was like, yes. So, you know, so if you develop a culture of that, it breeds within your league. But you let that cancer start, it'll spread. So you've really got to be, and it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult to tell someone to shut the hell up, and, you know, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to do that, you know, but you have to for the good of the league. So any questions on that? My 3 R's: recruitment, retention, recognition. Anything? All right, great. And then one of the things we talk about is junior umpires as well too. We talk a little bit about that. That's a great resource. So if you got kids that want to do it, by all means. And there's always a question of, well, you know, I have my 12-year-old, should he do majors games? Or are you just going to make them work outside of their division? You know, there's no rule on that. Little League doesn't say, oh, if you're a junior umpire working, say you're at the Patriot League and you're a player and you want to umpire, you know, there's no rule that says, no, you can't umpire in your division. Look, as far as I'm concerned, because there's such a shortage, if someone wants to umpire in their division as a youth umpire, just let them. Just let them. Just get them out there. Now you have to follow, I was very familiar with the game coordinator with youth umpires. Okay, so the game coordinator, you have to have an adult either on the field with the youth or a game coordinator at the game monitoring the youth. Okay, it's in the rule book, so make sure you follow that, because you can't let a coach run roughshod on the junior umpires. But so there has to be a game coordinator. So it's either an adult on the field working the game with them or someone outside the fence. And the game coordinator has to stay there. They can't leave. So, and they can't watch multiple games. So they can't be a game coordinator for 2 games. They have to stay there. They can't be working, oh, I'm going to go to snack bar, blah. They have to stay on the game. So
what's the minimum age of a junior umpire?
None.
You have never seen that 5-year-old umpire?
Yeah.
I was using to 11 years old is a good starting point. I think
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe 10,
I mean, it depends on the kid as well too, the maturity level of the kid. Because I've seen some 12-year-olds that you're just like, man, you know? And I've seen some other 10-year-olds that handle themselves pretty darn well on the field. So it just depends. Whatever you feel comfortable with, don't give them too much, don't give them more than they can handle, and certainly never put them in a position where they can fail, or, we all, you know, on the baseball field you can fail at any time, you know, but try to keep them in a more level game, you know, something that's a little bit easier for their skill, something's commensurate to their skill level as well. So challenge them a little bit if you feel that they need to, you know, give them a little bit, because we all like, you know, we all like the bigger games and stuff like that, but don't give them more than they can handle. But yeah, if you got youth umpires.
And then if you get their dad, you get that pairing on, it's all of a sudden, every kid wants to get out there with his dad,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it just grew exponentially.
I mean, that's 8, you said 8 father-son combinations, that's great. I mean, that's an awesome thing to work for, so if you can do that,
I can't get
that's
them to
great.
come out and coach their own kids.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, there's all sorts of, you know, there's no one size that fits all policy or thing that you can do, but you can learn from everybody else. So
Another thing
Yeah, go ahead.
that was successful for me, again, it depends on your time and that, but I would try to get 2 new guys out on a game, and then I would in-game train them and sit there and go through the game with them and train them, and that really is helpful, let me tell you. And I would be bouncing around in different fields and doing that, and it just really was successful. I probably did about 15 of those games and just really developed guys quickly.
yeah.
So,
Well, and put them behind the plate. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I know
for
a lot
sure.
of people are like, well, he doesn't know what he's doing, he should be behind the plate. No, get behind there.
Get 'em
It's the
in-
only way you're gonna learn.
yeah,
Yeah, let them do it. Again, what's your league again?
Lake Murray.
Lake Murray. So yeah, so you don't have any standings, right? So you know, I mean, and again, a lot of that is being on the same page. Some of the leagues it doesn't work for. You know, some leagues are a little more competitive than others, and some have, you know, some the standards matter. You know, so I get that. It's however your league is structured. I totally understand. But whatever you want to do is there's no rule. Again, the only thing about using a youth umpire is you have to have a game coordinator on the field.
Or if anybody knows any coaches at high schools, ask their kids can come out. They get credit and stuff, so we luckily have, my coach, I've coached 7 years, his brother-in-law was the head coach at Helix forever. So we were getting a lot of his kids for years that would
Yeah,
come and get credit.
that's another good. Yeah, if you
Umpire.
can.
If you can get them and they come in, they love it.
Yeah, if you have a pipeline into that, they're usually pretty good. Yes.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because I actually was going to look into the high school angle, but if they're coming in as a minor but not affiliated with the program, do they need a background check like cleared volunteers? Or since they're minors, they don't?
I don't think the minors need a background check. Do
They need to fill out a volunteer application.
Yeah, you need to know who they are and their contact info, and probably a medical waiver too, I would say.
Yeah, we gave them the medical release,
Oh, the
all the
medical
same
release,
forms that
yeah.
all the kids that play.
Yeah.
They had almost all the same things, and they had to have like a release from their parent and stuff to be.
Yeah, I think I kind of follow that. Whatever you use for signups, I think that would be that
The
would
same
be
as
safe.
the
Yeah.
kids that came in, we used all the same
Yeah.
things, some permission from the parent.
Yeah.
Make sure that their parents knew they were coming.
Okay.
And then, like you said, we always had one of our umpires was there with them, either on the base, behind it, or whatever, however they were comfortable. And then we sign off, we were the ones that signed off on their credit and send it back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of them might need service hours or want,
That's what
you know,
they
on
get.
a
They
college
get-
application.
They
or
get credit
something.
to it, they get
Yeah,
credit to
but they just want to do it, you know. Yeah. So that's another good if you have a local high school or something, or you know, some of your kids might be going to that high school as well too, so you might have an in as well too there. So that's always a good place. So there's lots of avenues. One of the things that like you know, Murphy Canyon and even North Park to a certain extent has tapped into the military a little bit. You know, is if you can do that for some reason, some of those military guys seem to like to umpire. I don't know. It's a weird thing. So, but
Same thing, like the kids get credit, they get credit for that too. And then they get a little ribbon, volunteer ribbon.
yeah. So there's all sorts of things, and you know, and so let's go into you know, the paid versus the volunteer. I want to ask you guys something about who's the ones that use the association. You do, David. Anybody else? That's you guys as well too.
Partially,
Yeah. So you use it pretty much for all levels.
I mean, yeah, we have volunteers as many as we can get.
Yeah.
We'll use them when we can, and as much as we can get out of them, but it's been very scarce, so it's most of the time
Yeah.
is the
Maybe what levels.
Okay, yeah.
But you mentioned equipment, and that's been one of the barriers for us. Is like, I don't know how to manage. Do I need to keep a locker full of all kinds of sizes of equipment for these volunteers that it may materialize?
Let's get the basics.
Yes, some shirts, depending on what you're having them do. If they're going to just work the bases, then pretty much a shirt is always nice. We encourage a uniform, like Dave, stand up for a second, Dave's got the uniform. That's not an actual umpire shirt, but it doesn't have to be. Those are actual umpire pants. You don't have to have those. Anything will work. Hey, for a volunteer, if they want to come out in there in shorts, but it looks, just so everyone knows who they are on the field, the shirt is nice. And the shirts aren't very expensive as well, too. And you can keep a few sizes in there. Now, for plate work, you're going to need, some chest protectors, some shin guards, and masks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's what a lot of leagues do. They keep a locker somewhere, and then people do it. But it would be incumbent upon you or someone to make sure that stuff's clean, because it can get a little musty. Yes.
On that note, I never wanted to use somebody else's sweaty gear. You may have umpires that don't mind that. I would encourage you at this point. This is the beginning of the season. I need to get in the
Dave wants to be in the frame.
Beginning of the season, set your budget. If you have not set your budget, please do so now and put as much in your umpire budget as you can. When I was at Allied Gardens, I budgeted for about 3 to 4 starter kits, and you can get them for about $150, I believe, and it comes with a chest protector, a ball bag, indicator, plate brush,
Shin
guards. Okay, so that's and some of them do include a hat, some of them don't. That's not everything that you need. You do need a cup for your male umpires. You probably should have some kind of steel toe shoes, whether they're official umpire shoes is kind of irrelevant. If somebody has a shoe that can protect their toes, that's great. You need pants, but sometimes people have pants that will work where the shin guards can go underneath, or and if they want to put the shin guards on the outside.
We're not being choosy. Yeah. We're not.
We'll judge, but we will keep it to ourselves.
Yes, we will silently judge from that.
We will be thankful that they're out there. So please budget for starter kits. And what we did at AG was say, if you work 10 games, it's yours. I did not want the gear back. I never got the gear back. And eventually, most of those umpires that decided they really liked umpiring would start to upgrade their equipment over time. And I really love John's idea of this value system for the number of games. And we'll get you a really nice, shiny patent leather belt or something like that, or
the whole thing.
An embroidered shirt, or so you could supplement that starter gear set with something that is better over time. But start them out right. Put it in your budget for their gear. Put it in your budget for training. And I think, John, you're still going to talk a little bit more about the West Region training opportunities.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. So what's the, just out of curiosity, do you know what you guys spent last year on umpires?
On paid umpires?
Yeah.
It was in the teens. Right?
Teens. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it's quite a bit of money. What about?
I don't know what we spent. Ours are just for majors and minors.
For majors and minors, okay. You cover the lower divisions yourself with the volunteers, yeah. And that's a great, and that's what
coaches generally are doing the.
What's that?
Coaches typically.
Okay, yeah, and that's like a great starting ground as well too. You got to start somewhere, so you can start there and just kind of work your way up, and that's where what John had said alluded to about going to the lower divisions and recruiting, because they're probably going to stay around a while. So, but just like with the kids, we want to make it fun for them playing baseball, so they come back, right? Same thing with umpires. You got to make it fun for them, and it is sometimes a thankless job, and it is like I said, a pretty steep learning curve. But you got to be able to protect them and encourage them, and and talk with them after the games, and discuss umpiring with them if there's plays on the field and stuff like that. We're always happy to do that. But I get it. It's the reality of we're faced with. We got to use the association. Now, how reliable is the? So one of the things that the feedback I got a couple of years ago that the association weren't always that reliable.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that they're covering high school games, so they do come, we have situations where, oh, this guy's got to come from another game.
Yeah.
And it's cutting it close, or traffic hits, or. So yeah, it's not always 100% reliable for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some bail this year. At Sarah Mesa, we had a couple of away games, one at Mission Trails, I think, where we expected an umpire to be there.
Yeah.
They didn't show up, so then the coaches are now the umpire, and we're not allowed to get behind the plate, so we're calling balls and strikes from behind the
Yeah, it makes it challenging.
behind the mound, which kids love.
That's good.
Yeah.
Gear. Why'd you get behind? I had the same thing. I put my gear on and.
Someone from the district was there and told us that we didn't have
You
any.
didn't have the gear.
We didn't have.
Yeah, because it was a last minute thing, you had it scheduled and then they don't show up. So that was one of the knock on that. I can just tell you what the associations is, especially during the high school season, you're not going to get the top dogs. They're not coming out to Little League games. They're just not. Everybody wants it, and a lot of it is an ego thing too. They want the big high school games, and I'll be first to admit that high school games are better, and better baseball, not so much better fan behavior. In fact, I think sometimes worse. And I won't say, damn it, I'm on camera. I can't say what I really want to say about some of those high school coaches.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
I just need to put a mic on you 100% of the time.
I know, then I'll be on my best behavior. Or maybe I won't be able to run for office. I don't know. Too soon? So anyway, so that's one thing. Now, and another thing that we talk about, one of the downfalls to using association is a lot of them don't know the Little League rules, and they're not vested in your community, because remember, Little League's a community-based thing. So they show up, they don't check gear. I'm willing to bet they don't check gear ever. They don't know some of the rules specific to Little League. They're just not invested in it as much as a volunteer is. So you get more of a volunteer. I always tell the story of anybody. Guys probably don't even know him anymore. Mario Papazzi out of San Carlos Little League. You guys know Mario. Mario moved to Florida, so unfortunately, but he was like a national treasure at San Carlos Little League, and we call him the mayor. The kids loved him, and you can't buy that. The games that he worked. I mean, he worked from minors and majors. He covered all-star games. He would travel with us. I mean, he was just, you can't put a price on a guy like that. You just don't get that from the association. I mean, it's not going to happen. And then, Mario's just one example. We've had a lot of them, a lot of good people like that. So that's one of the drawbacks to the associations, is they don't really care as much, and they're there for a paycheck. And not that there's anything wrong with getting paid. If you guys want to pay your adult guys, you do it. That's up to you. You want to pay your umpires, adult and youth. You do whatever you want. But based on the program, Little League's mission, we try to encourage a volunteer program. So anyway, any questions about that before I move on to the next one? So the last thing, I know you guys have been here a little while, I'll wrap this up with some Western Region training opportunities. So we're really, really fortunate here in Southern California to have the West Region facility right up there in San Bernardino. That's where the West Region tournament, actually the West, the Northwest, and now the Mountain Region tournaments in July are held. That's right before the Little League World Series. So up there in San Bernardino, those 3 tournaments is going to send 3 teams, one from each region, to the Little League World Series. So that's where you see Hawaii play, Arizona, and stuff like that. But we're real close. How many of you are familiar with that facility up there? Ever heard of it?
Driven by, it's pretty cool. Which one is it?
What's that?
Driven by, you see like the big statue.
Yes, exactly. That's it. So that's been there, built I think in the early '70s when they built that stadium, and that's where you'll see the West, like again the West, the Northwest, and the Mountain Region tournaments, and they'll send a team from there. But one of the things they do is training opportunities up there too. So it's only like an hour and a half, a couple hours away. So they do a few things up there. They do a weekend clinic. They do. It's not quite a week long anymore. It's a little change. Dave just got back from it, so he knows. So they do a week-long clinic up there. They used to let you stay on site. We stay in the barracks there in the dorms where the kids would stay, but they don't do that anymore. That's another barrier to it is if you go up there, it's you got to pay for a hotel room, or I don't think you can commute back and forth, but maybe your board can pick that up or something like that. They also do a rules clinic, a weekend rules clinic. And do they still do the train the trainer up there?
Yes.
Yep.
They do a UIC clinic up there. It's kind of the train the trainer. I think there's about 4 clinics up there. I think there's 2 week-longs, one in coming up February about. They just had one last week, so they do 2 week-longs. I think they only do 1 weekend mechanics.
This weekend.
But what's that?
This weekend.
This weekend?
I'm going to that.
Okay, so there's a weekend one, so they must do 2, so you can do that. So I can just tell you, it's great training up there, but it's probably not for the first or second year umpires. It can be a little overwhelming because it's a lot of training, particularly the week long. But the weekend one is good for maybe someone that can't take the week off and maybe has a little bit of experience under their belt. That's a great one. Certainly your league should pay for that. The week long, I would recommend an umpire that's pretty dedicated to the craft. Maybe been doing it 3, 4, 4 or 5 years or something like that. Maybe wants to go. So you don't want to put a first year umpire, or a novice umpire into the week long. It's just too much. And we've all done it. Everybody on staff has done it some multiple times. So, but those are some of the training opportunities as well. I like the weekend mechanics one. That's a really good one. The week one is good too. The rules one is, we do a similar one, but if you're really into the rules, they go through the entire rule book. It's 2 days. It's a lot of rules. And the trainer one, that one's okay. I'm going to be perfectly frank. It's okay. I think you guys would benefit more for a weekend or a week long for those of you that are dedicated into it. So those are the opportunities, and like I said, and the cost is really not that much, and it's very good training. Little League has revamped it now. The regional and the World Series qualification program now is a little bit different. So they're trying to identify. This is driven by ESPN. So they're changing the whole program pretty much, the umpire, how you qualify for a regional and who you'll see at the World Series on TV. So they're trying to identify what they call high-performing umpires. So they've changed the training a little bit. It's not just for high-performing umpires, but the training's a little bit more regimented now. And I think it's actually a little bit better. It's more modeled after pro school than anything else. So anyway, it's good training up there if you can do it. But those are some of the opportunities. Could you imagine if you lived in Alaska working working a local league up there? I mean, it'd be very hard to travel down for something like that, or even some of the others. They're only put the week long on in 2 different locations. I think it's San Bernardino, and I believe Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and that's it. So this is a really good opportunity. You got to be into it though. You want to, you don't want to send someone into the wolves' den. You know what I mean? So
I went after my first year. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
For the week long?
Yeah.
You've got.
I had maybe 20 games under my belt, and it was intense.
Yeah. I went after I think my 5th or 6th year, and it was. I was really into it, but it was a lot of umpire whole week there, and it's morning till night. It's not 8 to 5, they keep you there, and they cover rules and mechanics and situations and stuff like that. So it's a good opportunity, so that's something, but try to get your leagues to pay for that. They should, because you pay for someone to go to week long, they're more than likely going to stay with the program quite a long time, and that's going to save you a lot of money, the leagues, a lot of money in the long run. So
The weekend first.
yeah, the weekend or whatever. Some people can't take the time off from work. We get it, So you got to be into it. I mean, it's kind of a different world. So, all right, well, that's about all I've got. Any questions on that? Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
I think I've talked to Robinair a little bit about it, but I'm curious to know how some of the other leagues are doing the scheduling. I've heard Assignr is a really good app.
I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Jump again.
I think that's about it. Well, again, thanks for your time. Hope to see you guys on the field. And we're always available to you for any questions or, like I said, mini clinics or whatever you want. But the most important thing, I'm going to say it again, please get a firm commitment from you guys and gals and youth umpires to come to the clinic if they want to. So that's what I'm pressing upon you, because we have a lot of people that say they want to go, but then when push comes to shove, they, for whatever reason, so you got to kind of grab them by the hand and say, let's go, so we're going to lean on you guys to do that, to get you guys, and it'll be beneficial for you. It really will.
Can you come just on opening day, just do a full clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll
Everybody will be there.
Yeah. We'll be there.
Right?
Just tell me how many people. We'll get the instructors.
It'll be at least 600.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys. Appreciate the time.
You want to take that mic with you?
Oh, no.
I'll think about it. Okay, real quick. Okay, so I know that a lot of you are scheduling your umpires with a Google spreadsheet, and it's super convenient. It's also kind of problematic at times, right? Because it doesn't sync with your calendar, so you have to manage your notifications. And if you're umpiring at different leagues, it's really hard to keep everything kind of straight. It's also from an accountability standpoint, like how many games did I work? They asked me this when I was at the week long, how many games have you worked this year? And I'm like, I don't know, 50? And I went into Assignr and I looked at all my games, and I'm like, 85 games. So it's valuable knowing where I'm supposed to be, what level I worked, what leagues I worked with, who my partners were. There's a lot of value in that. Assignr's not free, but the district is paying for a premium plan. And we have up to 70 officials in that plan, 70 or 80. We can fluctuate up or down depending on how many leagues are participating. So I made an executive decision over the fall, and I said, everyone, all the games are in Assignr for fall ball. And I did that on purpose so that you will be exposed to what Assignr is. It's not as easy as going onto a Google spreadsheet and putting your name on there. But people can't go accidentally erase your name or put their name in there or erase a whole block of cells or do funky stuff, and you can have it synced to your Google Calendar or your Apple Calendar, and you get notifications, and you can message your partners, and if you're working with somebody you've never met before, you have their phone number and their email address. There's a ton of benefits to it. And so I'd encourage you to ask your board for permission to go to Assignr. If we get all the leagues on board, guess what? It's about $15 to $20 per year for each league. That's it. So we've got, is La Mesa National in the room? You're on Assignr already. Is it working okay for you?
Yep. Love
okay. Patriot League has been. I don't know if you were just doing the spreadsheet for the fall. Okay, you're going to go back on Assignr in the spring. Awesome. Any other league using Assignr?
I'm actually switching to, I was using Assignr Genius last year.
Yep.
But I'm going to use Assignr. Since you guys since I've been using it for fall, I like it a lot better than Assignr Genius.
And you're in there already, all your umpires are in there already. So you're eligible, like when we start assigning for TOC and for All-Stars, your official's already in there. So by pooling together, we lower the cost, we lower the barrier to entry, we make it a lot easier for everyone from an administrative standpoint. So thank you for being willing to participate in the district program. I think it'll make us all better.
So how do we exactly get it? We get with our president or board. Did you invite somebody on this thing? How did?
You're the umpire-in-chief, so you could just say, hey, I'm proposing. You could do a board action. You don't need to probably, but it would be good to have your league, support you in that.
Did you have your own games in a separate section?
Yeah, so there is currently a bug in their system. Normally, with this premier plan, I would say you're a Assignr for North Park, and you'd be able to officiate and assign games in North Park. But they have one little glitch in there that says if you're an Assignr in North Park, you're not able to sign up for games. So what I've been doing is I've been making the UICs full Assignr privileges and just tell you, please don't accidentally make them change to any other league games. Eventually they're going to fix that bug. And so then when we got into All-Stars, then I just removed the Assignr privilege, and then because we handle all of the assignments for All-Stars. So that until they get that part fixed, you'll have full Assignr privileges. You'll be able to add and delete games. You'll be able to cancel them for weather. You'll be able to put people on them or let them sign up themselves. So based on the type of game it is, like a regular season
Those
game,
games need to be entered into the assignment.
you just import them, and I'll help you with it too. If you give me your spreadsheet of games, I'll import them for you, and then the only thing you need to do is if the schedule changes, you just need to go in there and change it. If a game gets moved, you just go in and change the date. If a game gets added, you just go in there and manually add it. But the import utility is really good. You have full access as an assigner to import games. It's kind of tricky. There's this learning curve, and if you want to just send me the spreadsheet, I'll do it for you. Be happy to do it for you. Okay.
Sorry, so just to circle back to clarify, the cost, you mentioned it comes down as we all sign up, but is there an upfront cost and then it comes back, or how do, I guess, I'm struggling to understand that part.
There's a flat fee, and it's based on the number of officials, and the more officials we have in there, the more we have to pay.
Yeah.
But right now, we're about 70 to 80 officials as a district. If we get everyone on board, we might have to go to 90 or 100. So it might go up a small amount.
Okay.
But the bulk of the fee itself, the more leagues we have on there, we just share it.
Gotcha.
So
I personally download the app. I'm signing up for my league. Is that how you're saying that kind of works?
You got to invite us, the Umpire-in-Chief.
yeah, you can actually go and register. Just create a profile. You just go to, and I'll email everyone with the link if you don't have it. But it's CAdistrict33.assignr.com, I think is what it is. There's a sign in at the bottom, and there's a register underneath that. So if you don't have an account, you register. It asks you for your personal information, phone number, email address, that kind of thing. You create a password, and then you're in.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And you're thinking the entire district will be in the spring, all under the same assigner, but just maybe broken out by league? Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, so every league will have their own games. You'll be able to filter them by league. So so I'm unaffiliated with the league right now. I work a lot of games at Sunshine, I work a lot of games at Patriot League. But sometimes I just go in there and say, I want to work a juniors game today. So I just go filter juniors. I might pick a few leagues, or I might just leave it all. And then I find the one game that fits my schedule, and I sign up for that one. So if you want to work outside your league, you can. If you want to filter and just save your filter for just your league games, you can. If you want to just filter by majors at Allied Gardens, you can do that. And let other new umpires work minors games. So there's a lot of options there with filtering to get the games that you want for you. And then from an administrative standpoint, as a UIC, you might want to have another filter that just shows all of your games so that you can see where the gaps are, right?
And so, I'm sorry, one more question. If people don't sign up for these, is there a way for you to, I guess if the voluntary aspect's fantastic, but then also too, like as it gets closer, do you get notifications or maybe have more actions you can take as it gets closer if it isn't assigned to anybody? Like,
you need to manage it, but you can filter them to show you games that are uncovered.
Yeah.
And then you can start taking action on them.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. So you talked about a bunch of stuff during the meeting, but did you have anything else that you wanted to add on clinics or any of the things that you're doing at North Park?
I think I said most of it.
Okay.
I said a lot of the things that I've had that was really successful for me last year.
Okay.
Could you elaborate on the father-son thing? How did you, were you going after the kids and then the dads came along, or you're recruiting the dads and then, hey, bring your kid? Like,
I think the dads were already in it, and I think the kids came on.
Gotcha.
I think it went in that direction. And as soon as one kid did it, then another kid wanted to do it. So
cool.
And then it became that challenge on there, wanting to get out.
Right on.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
It was really
Sounds
good.
awesome.
I almost went and got I trained my son back when he was 11 and he's 29 now. And I almost went and got him and wanted to bring him in so I could say I did it. So,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for coming, for stepping up for your leagues, for being the leader for the umpiring program. And any last closing remarks, questions, comments? Okay. Thank you again. Bye, everyone.